What am I doing here? What's happened to the... hell no. We're not... Why am I here, okay? I thought we were done. I guess not. You know what? Let's switch it up here, okay? I'm taking this and I'm going. Bye. How do you people keep following me? Okay, you know what? Fine. I will make the Kingdom Hearts video. Alright? Just let me get like one last sip in. How in the I remember one day when I was sitting at home and my brother brought me some new PS2 games. One of them was Sly Cooper, which was a good title to play through, but the other one was Kingdom Hearts. And not knowing at all what Kingdom Hearts was, God, that was a blessed time. I decided to insert it into my PS2, and immediately I was wondering, what the hell is this random music that's playing in the background? Who the hell are these characters that are just falling out of the sky? And I got thrown into some kind of fun combat system. Is that Donald Duck? Today, I recently completed the Kingdom Hearts Steam port. Mainly Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix. I completed to 100%, although technically I didn't, since I didn't complete all the gummy missions, but for some reason the game does not consider that as 100%. Part of 100%. It's very weird. But either way, I think since I completed all of it, I might as well, you know, talk about it and even hell, make a review. My fly down? And I better get something out of this because, swear to God, it took way too long to complete it, and I do have some things to say and speak my mind on it. Can't wait! Now, before we start dissecting the plethora that is Kingdom Hearts 1 Final Mix, I want to first tackle the Steam port, as I think it was done very well, although there were some minor issues I had with the port. First, the good. I appreciate, being able to play at any frame rate I want, at any kind of quality of pixels. To get to the point, those are, like, the good shit about this port. What I mainly have issues with is mainly the borderless window mode. While I was playing it through mostly with this kind of mode on, I enjoyed it pretty much anyone else. I was able to tab out and check out different tabs. But there were sometimes instances where the audio would have a weird pop-out fuzziness with my earbuds, and also, at a random chance, the entire game would just crash when I went to go and do a save point. And this happened around 9 times, but recounting it as I'm recording right now, I think I'm going to count that up to 11. This mainly happened around the time when I was mainly just grinding, so trust me, I got very pissed off when I was getting all the rare items in the game, only for then a crash to happen. Trust me, I got very peeved. But what did start the creation that is Kingdom Hearts? Well, it's all simple. Maybe simple and clean. Basically, Disney and Mr. Square Enix, back when they were called Squaresoft, both shared a company building. And while during normal business stuff and business things, a representative from Square Enix and a representative from Disney were in the same elevator, and they were like, hey, let's make a game. And let's have Donald Duck as the protagonist, because clearly that worked well the last time, said the Disney employee. And the idea set off. This idea to create a new kind of game that involved Disney and Square Enix working together, it was all going good. And then they decided to hire a man that does way too much thinking in his writing and has a fixation for the number 13. And that was the starting foundation that was Kingdom Hearts. So let's just boot up the game and let's take a look at the story. And by the way, we're doing this with hindsight, with the other Kingdom Hearts games in mind. Let's just do this on Final Mix Proud mode. But for the gameplay recording, you're going to see most of this was just me trying to get the Speedster achievement, which is basically try to complete the game on under 15 hours. So yeah, if the gameplay doesn't match what I'm describing, just trust me and take my hindsight in mind.
A recording me here, just thought I'd throw out a quick disclaimer. The footage you're about to see, most of it is not from the speedrun, as that was recorded on a wrong formatted file, so that's literally 8 hours of footage down the drain, so I had to replay the entire game again, which was hellish, which brings my total count of me playing this game like 4 times. Once when I was taking notes, second time when I was capturing gameplay, third time when I was recording all the cutscenes, because that's it, because I had to record all the cutscenes, And the fourth time was when I had to replay it again because the second time apparently doesn't support the file type. I am very tired.
This game's been out for almost 20 years. I'm pretty sure everybody knows the story so far. Well, we got a boy basically asking a question that I'm pretty sure all of us asked when we first started this game.
I've been having these weird thoughts lately. Like, is any of this for real? Or not?
And then we see this boy drowning at the bottom of the ocean. And now he's back on land. Then he sees this other kid and starts running towards him. And now he's back in the ocean. And now he's out of the ocean. And then he sees this other person. And now he's falling out of the sky. But he's also seeing himself fall out of the sky. And now he's falling into the ocean again. And now we're standing on a glass ceramic of Snow White. Kingdom Hearts, ladies and gentlemen. But surprisingly, this is the introduction to the tutorial as we transition over to gameplay. As we get told to make choices to choose either a staff, a sword, or a shield. Not only does it matter which one you choose, but surprisingly, we're going to do this with hindsight in mind. Choosing these three will be depending on what kind of playstyle you're going for. Mainly in sort what abilities you will unlock. So in any case, choosing the shield will give you defensive abilities early in the game. The same goes for magic, and the same goes for offensive with the sword. For me, I went ahead and I chose the sword, and I chose to lose Mystic because magic was never that important. Fireball! After we learn how to save and interact with objects, and fight these little goobers, the Heartless, the main antagonists of Kingdom Hearts. No matter what series you go to, you'll find them there for some reason. Okay, maybe not all the time, but their existence is kind of very simple. Any person who allows or falls to the darkness in their heart, or the darkness around them, they'll become a Heartless. They become part of a hive mind in which they will seek others to turn into a Heartless as well. Or if they're strong-minded, like a strong-minded Disney villain, they'll be able to command the Heartless before the darkness in their hearts takes them as well. It all mainly depends on how the user is able to wield the darkness, which most of the time is going to end in just them getting swallowed by the darkness. So, kind of commanding the darkness is kind of ass when you think about it. Again, I know there's more stuff to what happens when you lose your heart, but we're gonna keep it simple for now before we get into the more complicated stuff with the future entries. Simple and clear. After fighting a few Heartless, we move on and we arrive at the end of the area, and our first boss fight against Darkseid, who's technically supposed to represent Sora's Heartless, but again, future entries will cover it later. Probably not. But anyways, look! Sora's getting swallowed up by the darkness! Kingdom Hearts, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are on Destiny Islands, Sora's homeworld, where here we get to hang out with his friends Riku, Kairi, and some young Final Fantasy characters. And so we're in sort of a fetch quest kind of tutorial as we hunt down some food and materials we need to finish up a raft and take food with us. Minus the fact that all this food together is probably going to last you 5 days at best, even with possible good rationing. Doesn't matter. We can also challenge the Final Fantasy characters and Riku, who is set up to be your sort of rival for most of this game. Both the fight with him and the race you can do with him are all kept track with a scoreboard to keep track of your wins and losses. So the game's kind of setting him up more so to be a sort of rival, but also making the player feel like he's being a bit of a douchebag. Making the player want to hate him, but mostly be jealous towards him, as he's very, tough and hard to defeat in most of his challenges. But I think it's a great setup for a rival dynamic, even though later on this idea would get dropped. Anyways, after getting a bunch of fetch quest items and beating up children until we're satisfied...
We took him on 3-1 last time, and he whipped us all. Well, I guess Kairi can always count on him.
Hang on a second, I need to do something real quick.
This is it!
Now that we're satisfied, the next thing that happens is apparently a huge storm is happening, and Sora goes to the island to check on the raft while his mom calls him for dinner. I like to keep in mind that this is the only time we ever hear Sora's mom, just to remind you. It's almost been 24 years. Anyways, look to the sky and realize there's a giant ball hovering over the Destiny Islands. And then we notice the Heartless have returned. But we can't simply defeat them because a wooden sword can't do shit. And then we see Riku in the distance, who's just sitting atop of an island. where we used to challenge him. He monologues about how the door has opened, this weird door that was inside the secret place, and it's apparently now opened. And then he recreates the entire intro from the CGI cutscene, boom, and we get the Keyblade. Although Riku, he's kind of gone. So, you know, a soul for a soul. Anyways, running into the secret place, we notice Kairi there, along with the door that's always inside the secret place. Anyways, the door finally opens and Kairi disappears as Sora tries to catch her. Then we get blown outside of Destiny Islands and we see Darkseid again, along with a destroyed version of our island. Anyways, we have no choice but to battle him. Once the battle's over, Darkseid falls into that weird giant ball thing. Sora also goes inside the weird ball thing, and Destiny Islands has fallen to the darkness. Kingdom Hearts, ladies and gentlemen! Alright, so for the sake of this, we're going to cover each world in a sort of chapter-based system as a sort of chapter-based system. I don't know what the fuck to say. Alright, the next world we have to deal with is Traverse Town. Disney icons Donald Duck and Goofy show up searching for a key as detailed in a letter left behind by King Mickey. Because of course, he's the king, I guess. Walt Disney strikes again. Who knows? But as for the lore of Traverse Town, anyone in the world of Kingdom Hearts that survives having their world basically blow the fuck up gets taken to Traverse Town, which is sort of a homeless shelter for people who don't have a world to go back to. I know it's a grim way of saying that, but I'm just putting that out there. After exploring around a bit and speaking to some of the characters, including some Final Fantasy characters, we then start battling the Heartless, who have shown up in this world as well. And after getting our ass kicked by another Final Fantasy character, we finally learned all about the Keyblade and the Heartless, and that a man named Ansem, who was doing a huge study about the Heartless, and who has most of his research in the form of reports you can find throughout the story, and read them along the way, basically getting more insight as to how the darkness itself works and what kind of man Ansem was. Because apparently he's the one who basically released the Heartless, technically not, but let's not go further into that because we're not going further into that. After doing all that and exploring the town a bit more, we run into the Disney duo and prepare for the first boss fight against the Armored Heartless, which I guess we can cover the big elephant in the room. Most of the enemies had unique designs, which kind of made them look, well, like monstrous beings in the game. But for some reason in Final Mix, the developers decided to just change up all the colors for all the Heartless. Minus the OG Heartless, I guess. The decision to make this recoloring was never really fully explained. Some people might think it's just to make enemies stand out more, which kind of doesn't make sense considering every single game has a lock-on mode. So I don't really understand why they would have to change the colors. And in some cases, some of these redesigns don't really bother most people at all. I mean, hell, some of them even make them look a little cooler. But for some cases like Ghost and the new Armored Heartless, it makes them kind of look like they just went crazy with MS Paint. So yeah. I do kind of wish that maybe with like the Steam port, there would be an option to basically decide if you want the original Heartless colors or the Final Mix colors. It doesn't really bother me personally, but if it does bother you, then play the PS2 version, I guess, I don't know. Anyways, after defeating the Armored Heartless, we decided to team up with Donald and Goofy to start exploring other worlds to find Sora's friends and King Mickey. The gummy ship missions are both long and tedious and kind of boring sometimes. But if you're willing to make an effort and actually figure out how making gummy ships works, you can make adjustments to your ship to make sections run by faster, and heck, you might even have fun playing them. Not to mention, Final Mix also adds gummy ship side missions, is what I would call it, I guess. Which, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't do them because they don't require 100% completion. Like, you only need to complete like at least 3 missions from one world, and that's it. I mean, you can do it, I guess. I mean, the best you're gonna get from it is a bunch of red Mickey symbols. So, yeah. Plus, the rewards are mainly just decorations, not really anything worthy, I guess. But overall, yeah, you don't need to complete the gummy ship missions to get 100% completion in Final Mix. But also, speaking of achievements, I would love to meet the head honcho who made the original Final Mix achievements, because I would like to ask him why the achievement of beating the game under 15 hours is a thing. Like, I understand there's a whole guide for how to do it, but I mean, like, why in Kingdom Hearts 1? I'm pretty sure the other games don't even have this kind of achievement system. Not to mention, they also have achievements the entire game without continuing, and completed without touching the equipment menu. I've seen people, and myself included, have attempted to do all 3 at once, mainly because it's annoying to try and repeat the same damn game to just complete it under different specifications. But hey, I did it. It was not worth it though, because it was literally just walking through hell and attacking anybody with a fucking wooden stick. But alright, moving on. First up in the world's Wonderland, based off Alice in Wonderland. In this world, in order to get around places, we're gonna have to shrink down smaller. So thanks to this doorknob here telling us that we need to drink some highly questionable drinks, we grow small and we enter into the Queen's Palace. I wouldn't really call this a palace, but you know what? It's a courtroom. Anyways, we walk in and we see that Alice is currently on trial for attempting to steal her heart. Us, with the hindsight knowing that this is a Kingdom Hearts game, we know who the culprit is, the Heartless. But apparently, we're not allowed to intervene with stuff because apparently that would be considered meddling and it's part of the world order. Look, I'm sorry, but we're not. Sora being Sora basically just breaks this rule on the first time he hears about this. Anyways, we talk to the Queen and ask her to let us try and prove Alice's innocence. So we go around and grabbing a bunch of evidence to prove that Alice is innocent. In this quest, you're basically guided to explore the entire forest and to collect 4 pieces of evidence. Collecting all 4 will grant you the elemental upgrade for ice. Or you can just bring back 1 piece of evidence and be done with it, but it's up to you. Personally, I recommend getting all the evidence just so that you can get an early elemental upgrade. Once we return back to the courtroom, the Queen decides that we will choose 1 piece of evidence to use as the main piece of evidence. I know that sounds weird when I say it, but trust me. So, if we choose one of our pieces of evidence, the Queen then proceeds to lock up Alice and call us all guilty, and we fight her. But if we choose the Queen's evidence wrong, Donald or Goofy, or both of them, get locked up in prison. And she proceeds to try and kill us all. So, considering this Queen's an entirely whole-ass prick, there's only one clear option. We beat up her guards, break the gear mechanics that are holding Alice captive, and once we break it, we realize that Alice has disappeared during the entire fight. Also, the rock that was inside the forest moved places, so now we're able to go deeper into the forest. Once we're deeper inside, we find an upside-down version of the Bazaar Room, the area where that contained the 2 fuzzy weird rings. We also see that there are 2 unlit torches. After lighting them up and heading back to the main room of the Bazaar Room, we finally come face to face with the Heartless of that world. Surprisingly, this fight's really easy. All it requires is just making sure you have a high ledge to jump and actually hit him. So as long as you're able to get up high and able to jump towards him and hit him down, then you should be able to defeat him really easily. After defeating Mr. Juggernaut Man, we accidentally wake up the doorknob guy who gave us the weird fuzzy drinks, and he yawns and he opens the keyhole, and Sora shoots it down with the key beam. After that, Chester the Cat, who's the one guiding us the whole time, tells us that Alice is no longer in this world. Alright, next world! Olympus Coliseum, based off the movie Hercules. So you know what that means. We're gonna see Danny DeVito. Oh my god, they did not cast him for this shit. Well, after trying to move a rock and being told that we're a wuss from good old Phil here, and being told we're not qualified to even be heroes, like, Jesus Christ, man. Look, Phil was not that much of a prick in the film.
I got you healed right here!
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he just is a prick. We participate in a few games, which just revolves around us knocking around a few barrels and stuff. And after being told to leave, we then get given a ticket to play the games for real, from Hades. So hey, at least we get to hear James Woods, and oh, he's actually in this game. Well, let's hope Roger Bart is in this. Oh, come on! Only 2 out of the 3 of them? Anyways, after being accepted into the tournament, we take on a few rounds of Heartless, and meet another Final Fantasy character, Cloud Strife. Moving forward into the tournament, we finally come face to face with him, and this is another one of those fights where basically it doesn't matter if you win or lose. I mean, if you win, you get extra points, but still. After that fight, then Cerberus comes out. And then Hercules shows up, and now it's up to us to save him and Cloud from Cerberus. And this fight's alright. I mean, I was able to beat it on my Proud Mode file after I complete a few other worlds, which we will cover in a bit. But just to be mindful, this world convinces you that you need to come back later after you complete more Disney worlds, so that you can get stronger. But the fight overall is actually pretty easy when you think about it. You basically just dodge these dark energy attacks that are coming out of the ground whenever Cerberus throws up darkness itself. He'll sometimes throw fireballs at you, but you do have a chance of reflecting them. And you can even hop on his back by climbing up through his heels, or if you have the ability High Jump, the shared ability High Jump, I apologize, you can avoid most of his attacks really easily, except for that one where basically he raises half his body up in order to do a grand slam. But so long as you remember everything I just said, then you should be able to beat him super easily. And that's technically where the world ends, at least for now. Later on, as you complete more of the story, more tournaments will open up for you to play later on. There's mainly 4 tournaments, the Phil, Pegasus, and Hercules Cup, which in each one you fight Heartless, special enemies like Yuffie and Leon, the Final Fantasy characters you met up back in Traverse Town, who are in the Pegasus Cup, and you get to fight Cloud again, who is in the Hercules Cup. And in the finals of the Hercules Cup, well, it's Hercules, what else? But after beating him, you get to do a heart-to-heart moment, learning how, with your friends, the power friend. Look, it's just, my friends are my power, basically. That's the whole cutscene, okay? I don't know how to explain it, okay? But you also have the option of re-challenging some of these cups, but this time with extra challenge thrown into the mix. The first time you re-challenge some of these cups, you get to do it as playing as Sora by himself, without the reliance of Donald or Goofy to heal you or protect you. And once you complete that, you can also re-challenge the cup again, but this time in a time trial mode, where basically you have a certain amount of time in order to complete the entirety of the cup. And if you complete that, you'll finally complete the cup completely and have the option of choosing an opponent from said cup. And you can challenge anyone from the list, whether it be the Final Fantasy characters or a certain group of Heartless. So overall, I think it's a great way of including some replayability for this world, or for the game itself, I guess. But after beating the Hercules Cup for the first time, and then we're awarded the Olympia Keyblade. And we also learned the Yellow Trinity, but we can get into those 2 things right now. After completing each world in the Kingdom Hearts worlds, except for Wonderland for some reason, we get awarded a keychain, technically. The keychain allows us to change up our Keyblade's entire look. But not only that, also change up the Keyblade stats for mostly attack and MP. MP being basically the magic in this game. But overall, it's a great reward entirely. You get to choose different Keyblades that allow you to change up how much damage you do, or how much magic you do. But that's kind of more of like an endgame kind of thing. In the base game, it's kind of just, look, just equip the most powerful Keyblade, and mostly just shows up after you complete the world you're on. But if you're going for a certain type of build in the game, which, yes, there are types of builds, you can go for a build where you can change up a Keyblade to mainly focus up on magic, or you can just change it to a Keyblade that mainly focuses on stat damages, or a Keyblade that mainly focuses on damage. It's mostly just those 2 at the beginning. Later on in the series, Keyblades have like their own special like abilities within them. But for how it is, the Keyblade selection in this game is alright. And there's no harm in collecting them all, unless you're doing the Unchanging achievement, in which you have to complete the entire game with just the Kingdom Key and Donald and Goofy's base weapons. As for the Trinities, they're little markers on the ground with 3 little hearts on them. They come in 4 different colors: blue, green, red, yellow, and white. Wait, that's 5. At the start of the game, you will learn how to do the blue Trinity, but later on in the game, you'll start to learn different colors of Trinities. Now, most of the time, the Trinities aren't technically required to complete the story, but there are some instances where you will need a Trinity or 2 in order to actually complete or continue the story. Like in this one set of example, you will either need them to open up some chests in order to complete a side quest, in order to collect 99 Dalmatians, or to collect some items from the synthesis shop, which, don't worry, like I said before, we'll get into that. I really don't want to talk about it. But you need the Green Trinity in order to open up the Synthesis Shop's ladder. But to activate the Trinities, you do need Sora, Donald, and Goofy in your party at the same time in order to do certain objects. Like you can either have them all jump simultaneously or stack on top of each other in order to grab an item. Or have all 3 of them rush at the same time for a breakable object, which is always goofy as hell to see. Or have Sora and Goofy push a heavy object while Donald just rubs their asses, pretty much. And the last one is just them all touching tips. But for the one we got, the Yellow Trinity, we use that to push the stone that Phil asked us to push a while back. Once we move it over, we reveal the keyhole of this world. And don't worry, we will get into what the keyholes are. Just give me like one more world. As for the final cup of the game, Hades Cup, this is more of like an endgame kind of tournament, where it's the best way to test your skills in the entirety of the game. This tournament contains up to 50 rounds, unlike the usual 10. Thankfully, you can choose from which of the 10s to start off with. So if you start off from round 50, if you get up to round 40, you could start off at round 40 and continue on from there. That way you don't have to spend all day completing a tournament. But at around round 11, you do get to challenge Hades himself, which kind of weird considering this is his tournament, so technically he should be at number 1, but I mean, who am I to argue? I didn't set this thing up. Anyways, after beating Hades, the final round is against the Rock Titan from Hercules. And after we beat him, we get the option of doing a mysterious mode. Okay, the mysterious mode was already there, but I like to say it like that just for more of an emphasis. But we also unlock another mode called the Gold Match, which is not shown, but it's after you select it. In this mode, you fight against the Ice Titan in 1 round. And this fight, I mean, it's mainly just a way of testing out your reflecting skills against projectiles. But yeah, reflect all the projectiles that the Ice Titan is giving you, and after that, go in for a few hits to the head. And as for the other mode called Platinum Match, we basically take on Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII. Another Final Fantasy character, let's go! And technically he's like the so-called final boss of the game, or at least was at the time of the original PS2 version, as he was the toughest super boss, as I like to label them as. As much as I would like to cover him, we will cover him once we cover the endgame stuff of Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. On to the next world, Tarzan. Or the Deep Jungle, as it's like to be referred to as. Now, this is one of those worlds where it's actually like a little story arc, pretty much. Sora and Donald basically argue if they should land there or not, thinking that maybe Riku and Kairi might be there. Sora then takes control of the gummy ship and ends up crashing on there, splitting up Donald and Goofy from Sora. But Donald and Goofy run into Clayton, and Sora runs into a giant leopard. But then he gets saved by Tarzan himself. And after doing one slide section, we come back to camp and meet up with Jane, another character from the film. We then reunite with Donald and Goofy. Goofy brings up how he found a gummy piece on the floor, thinking that maybe the king might be here. And so they decide to have a little bit of a, you could say, temporary truce, but I mean, they're still a team, so you know. And after doing a sort of slide section kind of thing, where we just look around and look for slides around the camp and then show them to Tarzan, Clayton himself suggests that maybe we should ask the gorillas if they've seen them. So we decide to head up the tree. After climbing up a few vines, we then see the leader of the gorillas, who then gets distracted by a sound that they heard up in the treehouse. We then see Clayton trying to take a shot at a baby gorilla, stop him, thank God, and then head back to the tent. And after Clayton gets told off by Jane not to hunt the gorillas anymore, Clayton basically summons the Heartless, because he opens the darkness to his heart. Heart dark. But yeah, now we have to go around and stop the Heartless, or these monkey Heartless, from hurting the gorillas. So we go around to each zone and basically save a gorilla. And this is kind of where my issues with this world come in. It's mainly just because of how easily you can get lost. Like, sure, we're told that it's kind of advised for us to go around and start helping the gorillas, but after going into every zone to try and help them, we then kind of don't know where to go next. The only time where we know that we have to go somewhere is when we head back to the camp, sure, and then get told, and then hear a gunshot in the distance, most likely being Clayton's gun. But I do think this world does suffer a bit of like a lack of telling you where you need to go in the world. Moving on. After checking out the gunshot we've heard, we go there to find Clayton's cigar on the floor, only to be attacked by the leopard. We then finally take it down. But then, during that fight, apparently Clayton goes back to the camp with a bunch of Heartless in mind, and who is chasing a gorilla, confronts Jane and proceeds to kidnap them both. We then head back, realize that Jane's gone, climb up a tree, and then realize Jane's captured. So we have to break a fruit in order to free her out, I guess. We then find out Clayton's responsible for the whole damn thing, so we have to go after him. And that involves us somehow figuring out that we need to head to this one part of the map, I guess. Again, like I said, this game sometimes lacks, well, the world itself just lacks telling you where you need to go. Now, as for the Clayton boss fight itself, most of the Kingdom Hearts community can agree that this fight was hard back in the day when they had to fight him. Mainly because one, the cutscene was too long, so they had to wait a while. By the way, they could not skip cutscenes like they can in Final Mix. Only to then die from Clayton basically shooting them with the gun. Holy shit, this guy's gone full American. Anyways, after beating up Clayton for a while, he then summons his giant Heartless, which is called Stealth Snake apparently. It doesn't matter because we mainly need to take down Clayton himself, not the Heartless itself. Now, I will admit this fight is still technically hard, even when you're playing on Proud Mode as well. But the strategy I figured out to how to beat this is really simple. Basically, just have your party members go and attack the giant Stout Heartless and keep him busy, while you let down the kibosh on Clayton pretty much and break his kneecaps. Which, by the way, apparently back in Kingdom Hearts 1, you can actually command your party members on where to go exactly. So by pressing the triangle on either yourself, when you're not targeting anyone, you can ask them to come to you, or you can target someone and press triangle again and they'll go and attack that guy. It's a pretty cool and unique way of commanding your teammates, and I kind of do wish it was brought back, but I doubt it will. But anyways, we take down Clayton and then get thrown over a wall. We go into a water cavern and then we figure out about Tarzan talking about what a certain phrase he was saying meant heart. Saying that Riku and Kairi are always in Sora's heart. It's one of those like things where basically like, oh, we won't forget each other because we'll always be in each other's hearts. Sora and Donald make up, and that's the end of the Tarzan world. We also get awarded a new keychain. We then cut to the Disney villains who, they mention how basically Sora's found one of the keyholes, and that's kind of worried them. But don't worry, because apparently we don't know what a keyhole is, and we'll never find them all. On to the next world. But we can't get to the next world, so we have to go back to Traverse Town and use the gummy piece that we have that dropped out of the keyhole. We talked to the Traverse Town gang. First, we gotta find them at least. So after breaking down one wall with the brand new ability we learned, Red Trinity, we're finally able to talk to Leon. He tells us that one, we found a keyhole, which is basically the heart of all worlds. Well, not entirely, it's just the heart of the one world. But anyways, if, by any chance, the darkness itself, or a Heartless, get inside that keyhole and infect it with darkness, the entire world is finished, and the world disappears. So yeah, sorry Maleficent, we already figured out what the hell the keyhole was. As for the gummy block, Leon tells us to go take it to Sid, as he's an expert in gummy blocks. We also get given a summon stone, as which we're able to use it with the fairy godmother, who's in Merlin's house. I forgot to explain this, didn't I? So there is this one area you can go to after you open a doorway by lighting fire on it, to which we meet Merlin, the wizard. He then explains to us how he's here to teach us magic and help us out. By that, I mean he has an entire dojo upstairs. But other than that, we also get introduced to the fairy godmother. She doesn't really do much. All she really does is just help us out with summon gems. With summon gems, we're able to summon other Disney characters who lost their worlds, but are still strong-minded enough that they're able to be summoned out and used to help Sora, Donald, and Goofy with fighting Heartless. Now, I will admit, most of the summons are pretty shit. You got Bambi from Bambi, Dumbo from Dumbo, Mushu from Mulan. Look, I don't know my Disney films, please. Don't get mad at me. But there are two summons that I will admit are actually pretty good. Oh, right, there's also Simba from Lion King. But I won't mention those two summons yet, as we have yet to visit their world that they come from. But I guess you can say Bambi and Dumbo have their own uses, mainly when it comes to synthesis grabbing, which I think we're ready to cover that now. So the synthesis shop opens up when we make our second return to Traverse Town. Now, how this place works is basically it's an item crafting zone, where basically we're able to craft a bunch of accessories that can help us out with fighting. And by talking to the Moogles from Final Fantasy, we're able to access the shop, and they'll tell us everything we need to grab in order to create these new items, which these said items are only dropped by the Heartless on rare occasion. But in this shop, you can not only create accessory items, but also recovery items, like potions, elixirs, ethers, that kind of stuff. But you can also make stab boosters, like AP boost, strength boost, and defense boosts. But the only problem is, like I said before, you need the ingredients to get them. Now, how you tell when a Heartless drops an item that's used for synthesis stuff is mainly when they drop a red chest. That is the sign that they have dropped an item. They also drop other chests, like a yellow and blue one for items, for recovery items, and a sort of blue one for accessory items themselves. And the cool thing about the synthesis shop is that you can keep making more items and you'll get access to further pages of the synthesis shop, which all in all sounds like a great concept. But there are issues that I do actually have with it, is that you need to craft every single item on one page in order to continue the synthesis shop's expanding pages. But as much as I want to keep going further into this kind of stuff, I will hold off my complaints for a little bit later. But just so you know, the idea of crafting items from the monsters' items that they drop is a great idea. But I do think the synthesis shop is really bad at encouraging you to keep crafting more items. But after meeting up with Merlin and the fairy godmother, we leave the house only to come and encounter Riku. It looks like he's been doing his own stuff as well. Now he's wielding a weird batwing sword, which kind of looks evil looking, but I'm sure it's no big deal. Anyways, after having a bit of a chat with him about how we've been looking for him as well, he's also been looking for us as well. We're so excited to probably take him along with us for the rest of the journey, but Donald Duck rejects the idea, and then Riku disappears. We then meet up with the rest of the Traverse Town gang in a house in the 3rd District, and we come to learn that a character, Maleficent, yes, the Disney villain, is finally in town. Just to be clear, she's basically like the leader of this Disney villains gang group that Sora is fighting, so yeah, there's also that, but I mean, they don't really do much aside from be the villain and then get taken down afterwards. I should also mention, in the final mixed version of this game, there's also an early cutscene that Riku gets where he arrives where Maleficent's home base is, and then Maleficent sees him land there. But anyways, Maleficent also convinces Riku that Sora has betrayed him and doesn't want anything to do with him, as he's found brand new friends. And Riku believes this instantaneously. I'm sure this will not have any repercussions. After being told the clock tower is starting to ring a lot, causing a lot of shaking in Traverse Town, we go to investigate, and pulling a few switches and battling a few more Heartless later, and ramming ourselves into a wooden wall again, we pull the bell tower 3 times to reveal this world's keyhole. And Arma McGee shows up again in his true colors, but this time he puts his hands to his feet and his feet to his hands, which only means one thing. He's serious about winning this fight. Anyways, we beat him up and seal the keyhole. I will admit, it actually is a tough fight, but still, it's the Armor Heartless. I mean, anyone can beat him with enough skill. We also learned that Sid actually has his own gummy ship shop. So we're able to go to him and buy a bunch of gummy ship items when needed. Only issue is that they are expensive as hell to buy. But we can also buy other stuff like the upgrading system, where basically we can upgrade having our gummy ship blocks have more color, even have their own palette, and upgrade the space we have to work with to make even bigger ships. Now look, personally, I'm no artist when it comes to shipbuilding, so all I normally try to do whenever I play this game is I just buy every single weapon that I can put on the damn gummy ship, and then I just roll with that, and that's it. I also put a bunch of rockets on it, so, you know, if you do want to try being creative with it, I highly encourage it. It's fun. On to the next world, and this time we have brand new objectives to go for. Alongside finding Kyrie and the king, we also have to find every single keyhole in this world and make sure that they're all locked up. But as for the next world, we're going to Agrabah from Aladdin. Alright, I can't wait to hear... Oh, come on! You couldn't get Robin Williams, but you got Gilbert Godfrey to come back? Rest in peace, by the way, Mr. Godfrey. You will be missed. Now, upon arriving, we see a cutscene between Jafar and Maleficent talking about how they need all 7 Princesses of Heart in order to open the final keyhole. The keyhole she's referring to is a keyhole of darkness, apparently, I think. After arriving, we start looking around the city, and we find Jasmine, the princesses of the town. We buy her some time to make sure she can get away and distract Jafar, but he sends his Heartless after us and goes after Jasmine. And upon climbing up one pole, we finally meet the carpet from Aladdin. We let him go, and he flies off to the desert. But we also go after him as well. And we finally come face to face with Aladdin himself. He used the genie's lamp in order to summon Discount Robin Williams and make a wish to get rid of all the Heartless. We then learn how the genie's lamp works and that Alan has 2 wishes left, but we also try to copy a bit of the film's plot, only for then to remind him that Jasmine's getting kidnapped right now. So I guess we kind of did just save Aladdin from looking like a total idiot. Again, I don't remember how that film went. Anyways, after doing a bit more climbing around in the city, we finally figure out that Jafar has Jasmine cornered, but we also confront Jafar as well. But Jafar also steals our lamp, so Robin Williams is not going to help us anymore. Discount Robin Williams, I'm sorry. And then we fight a Centipede Heartless. After all that, we find out that Jafar's heading for the Cave of Wonders. So we go after him real quick, but the giant tiger head that represents the Cave of Wonders is now a Heartless, so cool. We beat up his eyes, and I will admit this is like the most annoying fight in the game. Don't argue with me. And after we free it from the control of the Heartless, we go inside the Cave of Wonders itself. Now, as for the Cave of Wonders, I will admit, unlike in Deep Jungle, this place is actually much more easily navigatable. It's easily more simple to find your way around since there's like basically 4 areas, 3 on top and 2 at the bottom. And if you interact with all the items, you can actually figure out what you need to do next. Like in this case, in order to take down the pillar, we interact with that pillar over there. It'll tell us that it connects all the way to the top. So easily we shoot with fire, and it will break. But moving on, we get a cutscene revealing that Jafar is using his wish to reveal the keyhole. So we have no choice but to run back up and go in and confront Jafar. We also see Maleficent's here, but she also leaves after that. Jafar then tells us that the Disney princesses are all being gathered up to reveal a final keyhole. What this keyhole will do, we have no idea. I mean, we kind of do because hindsight. But Jafar asks the genie to take down Sora and his friends, and now we begin our fight with Jonathan Freeman. Oh well, they actually got him in this. Anyways, the fight against Mr. Freeman is honestly pretty fun, but still challenging nonetheless. He shoots lasers at us, does a whole ice cyclone, but this can all be avoided so long as you learn to stay away from the center area and hide behind rocks. But you also have to be careful, as Discount Robin Williams will try to strike you down. And trust me, he will accidentally kill you. I should know because it happened to me. After beating up first phase Jafar, he finally asked the genie to turn himself into a genie as well. Okay, so we're actually following the plot of the movies. Good. This is a bit of an off-tangent thing, but I did take a look at the remake of Aladdin, and no, they didn't even turn Jafar red when he turned into a genie. And no, the lighting does not count. But anyways, back to the plot. So Jafar becomes a genie, which means he has a lamp. So it's up to all of us to take down a flying Gilbert god.
Okay, suddenly this doesn't feel appropriate anymore. I mean, this isn't even the first time he's played as a bird.
Shut the fuck up!
Anyways, we take down Iago, who's holding the lamp, and we seal Jafar back inside the lamp. As for Jasmine, she got kidnapped by Riku while we were fighting, so crap. After escaping the Cave of Wonders, Aladdin asks Sora to let him come along to find Jasmine, but we obviously can't do that because world border issues or something. But to keep up with the whole this is a Disney film, Aladdin sets the genie free. But he does ask Sora to take the genie with him as a favor, and Genie agrees. And Genie becomes our new summon spell, which he's actually pretty good. He's able to target a huge amount of crowds of Heartless and do a bunch of magic stuff on them. But I wouldn't call it a thing to rely on, just something cool to have, I guess. But that's the end of Aladdin. We also get a Keyblade from him as well. Next world! Alright, the next world we're heading on to next is based off the Nightmare Before Crit... What the heck is that? That's a giant whale. How is it even moving or alive in space? This is not the ocean. So I guess next up is Monstro from Pinocchio. Yes, this giant-ass whale from that one film is a world. Kingdom Hearts! Fun fact, you can actually find Pinocchio in Traverse Town before you actually meet him in Monstro, but... how did you get swallowed? We then meet up with Geppetto, Pinocchio's father, as they're currently trying to find a way to escape. But Pinocchio wanders off inside Monstro's organs. So we go after him, and going inside of the organs to the first part of the chamber, we meet up with Riku. Again, at this time, he's kidnapping Pinocchio. So we have to go through the chambers to find him. And somewhat kind of getting lost, we meet with Riku again. And this time, he questions Sora if he really wants to find Kairi. And like, bro, that's kind of what we've been doing this whole time for this entire game. We're trying to look for you and Kairi. But then we hear Pinocchio cry for help as he's captured by a Heartless, with a stomach for a mouth. So we team up with Riku and take it down, and Riku does jack shit. After taking him down, we then earn the shared ability High Jump, which we can cover that for now. Shared abilities are mainly just abilities that have no AP cost. They're sort of a main upgrade for you and your party. And as the name suggests, we can jump even higher now, so we can get up to higher platforms. As we begin to chase Riku up Monstro's bowels, horn, I have no idea, we finally figure out his true intention for kidnapping Pinocchio. He thinks that because Pinocchio has a heart for a puppet, that maybe he might have a chance of saving Kairi somehow, which honestly makes no damn sense. But after finally confronting him, the stomach Heartless shows up again. For this fight, it's a simple case of just having to wait and make sure that we avoid his lunging attack, but also avoiding most of the ground because it's covered in poison. But it's really simple, just make sure you avoid his lunging attack when you need to, also avoid his weird stomach acid spray attack, and boom, we were able to defeat him. Monstro then gets the urge to sneeze, I guess after we beat him, and apparently we're to assume that Pinocchio and Geppetto got to safety. They actually did, but for this case, we can just say that they're dead for now. Next world, Halloween Town! to make sure that we, I guess, fit in with the locals, I guess, we dress up in a more scary costume, even though Donald and Goofy are already scary enough since they're literal abominations of God's perfect green image. We all dress up for Halloween. But for this world, the Heartless are apparently not attacking us for some reason. Also, the world also features this weird kind of grainy texture for some of the enemies, which I will admit looks pretty cool. It makes the world feel more like the movie, honestly. Anyways, after going up to the professor's laboratory, we figured out that they're controlling a Heartless with a guidance system. But they have a hard time of trying to command the Heartless to dance. So they decide to give the Heartless a heart in order to control them. Alright, who ordered what this time? Oh shit! Alright, finally, we have a heart. We're gonna get this world done easily. Oh. Wait. I think there's a problem with this heart, guys. Doesn't have a pulse. Come on, Pikachu, just give it a pulse, alright? Try again! After collecting all the pieces to create the heart, we make an attempt to try and make the Heartless dance again, only for it to fail now, and all the Heartless to become rabid. Again. So we set out to find Sally, use her memory, and see if we can make the Heartless come to mind. After getting Sally's memory, and a bit of surprise from the mayor, for the emotion, I guess, part of being a heart, we also find out that Lock, Shock, and Barrel are also planning on stealing the heart. And they report it to Oogie. Oh, that's great. I can't wait to hear... Oh shit, they actually got Keen Page in this one. Okay, you know, it's hard to make this kind of joke where they couldn't get the Disney actors, so they got discount actors, but, like, they got most of the actors for some of the good films. Let me see here. Did they get someone that's a discount actor? Hang on, let me see. Jack Skellington. God damn it, they already got Chris Tanner for that one. Wait, he's played by two actors, Danny Elfman.
God damn it, swear!
Anyways, after the three hoodlums steal the heart, we go after them, and after chasing them through coffins and through the weird spiral thing from the movie, we meet them up at Oogie's Manor. And despite it being a whole clusterfuck of add-ons, we have to actually climb up it like parkour pretty much. But it's not that hard. Once we finally confront them, it's time to beat up some children again. One thing to mention about Oogie's Manor is that even with all the Heartless that spawn in, it's not that hard to deal with. Like, it's more easier to just take care of the Heartless that are spawning around you by just spamming magic. That way you don't accidentally fall off it. So yeah, just a small recommendation to say there. Anyways, after basically beating up a bunch of children, Lock, Shock, and Barrel tell us that Oogie has the heart. So we head all the way to the bottom and enter Oogie's little gambling thing. And as for his boss fight, I mean, the song from the movie will already tell you how his fight goes. Hit it!
Oh, the sound of rolling dice to me is music in the air. 'Cause I'm a gambling boogeyman, although I don't play fair. It's much more fun, I must confess, when lives are on the line. Not mine, of course, but yours, oh boy, now that'll be just fine.
Now, if the song is not here because Disney took it down, I guess, his fight's simple. He'll be sitting on top of a spinning wheel while we'll be at the bottom of the spinning roulette table. Our goal is simple. We have to basically capture him by pressing one of the buttons and make sure we time alongside it. Making sure that we time the trapping of the cages that raise up. So, you know, basically aligned where Oogie is and make sure you hit the button that will trap both of you in the same area. If by any chance you do miss, you get laughed at by Oogie, and then proceed to get shot by a bunch of nutcrackers. Alongside that, you also have to avoid stuff like Oogie himself healing himself, which is very BS, him throwing down spinning blades and other spinning saw blades, so you know, avoid those, and him throwing lava exploding dices to trick you instead of the normal dices. But if you do manage to catch him when he's throwing his main dice, you can try to reflect all three of them in order to get a chance at hitting him again. Anyways, after beating him up, he dissipates into a million bugs, just like the movie. And after all that, the heart that we apparently were going after was just a failure this whole time. But no, it's not over, because somehow he fuses with the whole manor itself, so now you have to travel across his body and parkour it, and take care of these weird little pink blob things while Heartless and a bunch of flamey projectiles go after you. But don't worry, if you did miss any chests from Oogie's Manor, they will spawn in a crevice nearby after the fight's over. After all that, the keyhole shows up and we seal it up for good this time. Alright, on to the next world, Atlantica from The Little Mermaid. okay, sure, Sora may be human, but there is enough from the film so that you can make a good level out of it. Sure, most of the film takes place underwater, but hey, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of land areas that we can do in order to make the film work, so I don't think we have to worry about anything. Oh god. So, let me get this straight. Goofy fused with the turtle, and Donald just looks like Ursula. Like, he has the octopus, he's just not purple. And Sora's a dolphin. Okay, as biblically demonic as they are, we still have a job to do, so what's going on? We see Ariel, Flounder, and Sebastian getting chased by Fish Heartless. So we gotta test out the new combat. And as for the combat underwater when you're playing as Sora, I'll be honest, it feels very restrictive. It feels like you're playing like a level 1 build without like, you know, any of the extra abilities and stuff. Like, sure, I guess you could say like abilities like combo plus carry over, but it still feels very restrictive. Considering your party, your teammates can honestly like do more hits than you can. I don't know, it just feels very like restrictive to use. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. It still gets the job done when it comes to like fighting and stuff. Anyways, after taking care of those Heartless, we then team up with Ariel and head back to the palace. There, we meet face to face with King Trident. We accidentally mentioned that we're looking for the keyhole to this world, and he gets very defensive about it. So we leave with Ariel to her grotto, and we learn that Ariel doesn't like her dad telling her what she can't do, despite the fact that she's fucking 16. To which, I mean, I kind of agree with her. I mean, have you seen what she can do in battle? Like, she can hit more things than me. Like, what are you on, King Trident? You are out of your mind! Anyways, after fighting a giant shark, we pick up this little crystal trident, which does something magical, and then...
Daddy, no!
No, that was the crystal thing we worked really hard to get after beating up a shark! No, that was my PS5 that technically has no games! No, that was a set of Pokemon cards that I got and I spent 135 on! Okay, now you're just being a dick. That was just some compressed air that I bought to clean my PC. Oh, my PC! After Ariel runs away, Trident brings up how we're a Keyblade user and that we're not upholding the rule, which is not to expose or meddle in other worlds. Expose, I mean, everyone else has been able to figure that out. Meddle, yeah, we've been kind of doing that the whole time. But I mean, we're kind of following the plot of every film, so I wasn't really sure if you want to call that meddling. While we're having this discussion, Ariel then meets up with Ursula's eels, which I don't remember their names, honestly. Anyways, she sets up a little deal with Ariel, and that she must steal the trident and give it to Ursula, and she'll take her to other worlds. So, kind of following the plot of the movie, but we're not following the plot of the movie. But anyways, Ursula's plan succeeds because King Trident just leaves the trident in the room unguarded for some reason. And now that she has the trident, we must go after her and stop her. King Trident also tells us how to defeat Ariel by using her old magic stuff, which we'll get into that in a bit. I'll talk about it. After going back to where the giant shark was and beating him up again, Sebastian presses a button behind a shipwreck that opens up a path to Ursula's lair. How do you know this? Are you working with her? After that, we come face to face with her, and we're off with our battle. So in order to beat her, we basically need to shoot our own type of magic into the cauldron and make sure it explodes in her face, I guess. So most of the time, you could lay down magic stuff like ice, lightning, and fire. But I'll be honest, even when I was doing the fight, like during the speedrun I was doing, I didn't even know how the fight even went down. Like, I don't even know. I just spam a bunch of magic until one of them eventually hits and causes a certain explosion. But hey, after all that, we managed to beat her. But she decides to leave, but we do learn a new ability, super swimming, or the mermaid kick, I guess. And I'll be honest, it's not that great to use when you're in Ariel's world, but when you're not in a fish form, it's actually pretty good. Anyways, we use this new ability to go even further into the draft that we've been using to get around places, and we finally come face to face with Ursula, who has now turned into a giant for some reason. Yeah, I know, it's the film, relax. As for her fight, I will admit, yeah, it is pretty tough with the whole lightning stuff that always just marks down on us every time. The fact that she also tries to absorb us and tries to take a bite out of us, and also shoots down a giant laser beam out of her mouth, and shoots bubbles, which can be reflected, by the way. I believe this fight can still be easily done by just making sure to not get too greedy with the hits, and making sure to back out whenever she's ready to do another attack. And if you need to, just rely on the super swimming and swim in one direction that's basically getting behind her. If we do all that, I'm pretty sure the fight will be super easy. After all that, King Triton tells us that the crystal trident we were trying to use on that one area in Ariel's Grotto is apparently how you open the keyhole. And he asks us to seal the keyhole. Well, it's about time you trust us now. Anyways, we use the trident to seal the keyhole. Ariel tells us how she wants to go outside. And yeah, that's the end of Atlantica. Can you please replace my PS5, King? Alright, next world. It's a giant ship. Somehow this makes more sense than the whale, but there's still no water around you guys. Are you still in space? Like, I'm pretty sure there's no... After getting bunked, Sea of Thieves style, we finally decide to board the ship. And then we come face to face with Riku once again. Before, do you know that if you actually do Neverland before you do the Monstro World first, the cutscenes actually change? This time Riku doesn't help us out during the Stomach Heartless fight, and we get very aggressive with Riku for some reason. But other than that, moving on, Riku reveals that he finally found Kairi and has the power to control the darkness. And to prove this, he makes a shadow of Sora, which Sora's shadow. Okay, anyways, bye, Sora. After falling on top of Donald and Goofy, we need to get out of here. So we also meet up with Peter Pan, who's here on a search for Wendy. But I swear to God, I feel like this game made him a giant prick. At least he explains how flying works, and gives us pixie dust. Is that just a form of cocaine? Anyways, we conquer each segment of Captain Hook's ship below deck, while also meeting up with Shadow Sora, who keeps dancing around us because he thinks that he's an antagonist. I guess. We're right under the room where Wendy, alongside Kairi, who looks like she just had a night out, only for them to get moved to another room. We then follow them up, only to confront Shadow Sora. And I'll be real with you, he's a very antagonistic bastard, making clones of himself, but his fight's really easy. After all that, Peter Pan then just dips out with Wendy. We then head back to the deck floor, only to find Captain Hook revealing that Riku just upped and basically left. No joke, he literally just jumped into the water with Kairi and left the world on Kairi's shoulders. He just swam to space, okay, gotcha. He swam out here. Anyways, Hook threatens to kill Tinkerbell, so we then decide to jump off to the alligators. But then, Deus Ex Machina, Sora just figured out how to fly. I guess we can thank the pixie dust cocaine stuff for helping us out with that. Anyways, Peter Pan then shows up and we beat up all of Captain Hook's henchmen Heartless, which are all pirates. Thank you, Peter Pan, for not being a prick this time. Anyways, now it's time to battle Captain Hook, and his fight's pretty alright. I mean, more so, you gotta make sure you don't get hit by either his sword, but this fight can be kind of cheesed by just, like, standing all the way back and basically grinding out the enemy and building up your MP again, only to kill yourself, so the sense of danger is not really there. I mean, sure, if you decide to not fly the entire time, then I guess it is more harder for yourself, but I still think this fight can be easily cheesed. Captain Hook also throws present bombs. After beating him, we head back to London, and all we gotta do is sit on top of Big Ben himself and fix the clock. Because time zones are Anyways, it opens up a keyhole, and we seal it up, and we also get Tinkerbell to summon, who is actually not that bad. Her healing's pretty good, and the entire party can still be here after she's summoned. Unlike other summons, all the party members disappear, and it's only just you and the summon. But yeah, her summon's pretty good, and plus if you're almost close to death, she'll heal you up fully completely one more time before she disappears. And I guess we can tackle Winnie the Pooh since we're almost done with all the Disney worlds. So, Winnie the Pooh, yellow bear dude, has a hunger problem. Well, during our second visit to Traverse Town, Leon does give us the Winnie the Pooh world in a form of a book. So, we got a Paper Mario this shit. We go into each world and basically solve Winnie the Pooh's problems, as all his friends have disappeared. And it makes sense, because all the pages belonging to the Pooh world are actually gone, and they're scattered across the world. So, along your journey, you might find a torn page. There's only just 4 in general, 5 I guess. 4 or 5. And after getting each one back, we then get access to a new type of minigame you have to complete. Completing these minigames, it kind of just boils down to helping Pooh get honey from a tree, stopping Tigger from bouncing all around on Rabbit's crops, trying to kill Pooh by launching him into the distance, only for him to just land on Eeyore's house, so he's probably going to commit suicide. And, I guess, gathering up all of Pooh's friends in one location for some reason, for some final cutscene in which we can seal the keyhole for good. But that about takes care of all the Disney worlds in the game. Overall, I think the Disney uses were pretty good and pretty fun to use. Alright, but let's cover the ending of Kingdom Hearts. After coming back to Traverse Town for the 3rd time to get an upgrade from Sid, Sora kinda acts a little sad, realizing that they haven't made any progress in finding Riku or the King, and Riku's gone off to become his own bad guy villain. But Goofy and Donald look up on things, because King Mickey did tell them to just find Sora, and as long as they stay by him, everything will go by well. We'll see that in a few minutes. We then cut to a cutscene where basically Sora then reminisces on a certain cutscene where he sees Kairi as a child talking with her granddaughter. Talking to her grandmother, Jesus Christ. Anyways, Kairi's grandmother goes on about how the worlds are all full of light and that people started to argue and fight for the light, and that's how darkness was born. But the light in the people's hearts, mainly children's hearts, was saved the world. But yeah, it's basically just retelling how the world of Kingdom Hearts works. On to the next world, Hollow Bastion. Upon arriving, we see that Sora might be having heartburn because of some weird feeling in his chest. Moving forward, we come face to face with the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. The Beast is confronting Riku, explaining how he was able to get here without transportation, and that's actually a good question. I would like to learn how both of you got here without any transportation. But the Beast explains he just believed, so yeah, we're not getting any explanation for that. Anyways, Riku basically steals the Keyblade from Sora, proclaiming himself as the true Keyblade wielder, and leaves Sora with a wooden sword. And then Donald and Goofy just leave him behind because they were instructed to follow the Keyblade. Thanks for that, you fake friends! I won't be voting for you, Donald, you prick! So it's up to Sora and Beast to conquer the rest of Hollow Bastion. Moving on ahead, we then realize that the gates to Hollow Bastion are closed off, so we head to the basement part of Hollow Bastion, go through a few platforms and stuff, and activate the switch that opens the front gates. Moving back to the front, we come face to face with Riku, although Beast accidentally fell for a rage trap and basically got locked away. And just as Riku is about to kill Sora and puts on a weird kind of skimpy outfit, look, I know you're gonna say it's not skimpy, but look at it. What am I supposed to think? He's about to kill Sora, but then Goofy intervenes, saying that the power of friendship will not stop him from killing Sora. And then Donald comes back, and they both decide to team up with me. Sora then says, "My friends are my power," and gets the Keyblade back. And the fight with Riku begins. Basically, it's just another recreation of his fight back in Destiny Islands. Except this time with Donald and Goofy around, so that we're able to dogpile on him. After we defeat him, he then runs away. After that, we then make our way into the library and start moving around some puzzles and stuff, in order to get to the top floor of the main area where we fought Riku. Or the fountain area, I guess. We then collect 4 pieces to create a heartless symbol and then move on forward. A cutscene then endures of Riku basically asking himself why he wasn't strong enough, only for some mysterious hooded figure who we met back in Destiny Islands to say that he wasn't strong enough. Yeah, I forgot to mention that part. So while Sora was gathering items for a 5-day rationing week, a man shows up saying that this world's been connected and tied to the darkness. Without knowing much about the man, he just leaves, and that's it. But he's back now for the finale, so hey, who is he? This is Ansem, by the way, everybody. Anyways, moving on, we then start climbing up a bunch of ladders, start moving platforms around. Overall, basically what you do when you're in a final area, and I must say, the Heartless designs in this game, I will admit, are actually pretty good. Mainly just the Dark Ball, No Name, and Star Angel from like the final area, but other Heartless like the Shield guys, we surprisingly don't ever see them again. And it's kind of weird, like sure, we get the original Heartless, like the normal Bug guys, the Knights, and the Heavy Ball guy, including the Neo Shadows as well. They keep showing up in other games, but it would be cool to see them return. Maybe they could return for Kingdom Hearts 4, as some of their Heartless designs are very, like, realistic and stuff. I'm just saying, Square Enix, I'm giving you a lot of good ideas to work with. After shipping through a few platforms and making use of our new ability, Glide, that we got from Peter Pan, we meet face-to-face with Maleficent. And her fight's honestly pretty challenging. Like, I mean, sure, her whole platform thing, it's kind of dumb and really annoying to deal with, but we have high jumps, so if we can make it up there, we do try to. But yeah, after we beat her form and her summoning Heartless all the time, which is kind of annoying, we then come face-to-face with Riku again, who now dons a Keyblade of his own. But apparently, this Keyblade unleashes the darkness within people's hearts. So what does he do? He stabs Maleficent and proceeds to fill her up with true, pure darkness. Yeah, that's going to become a kind of a thing now every time until the end of this game. Characters are just going to start being filled up with pure darkness. Now, as for her second phase, now there is a method where you can cheese it by apparently spamming stop magic and gravity magic and basically one-hit her, but for us, we did not do that because I don't know how to play this game. So, you just start running around and make sure you keep hitting her head, but also avoiding her flames, and make sure if you can, call your party members over so that they don't die in the giant-ass fire. But after a bit of maneuvering around and staying behind so that we can heal up a lot, we defeat Maleficent for good. We then move on, after getting unlocking a new save point, and move on to the final chamber, where we come face to face with Riku, who admits that he is actually Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, as he has possessed Riku after he decided to let more darkness inside himself. But not only that, we also learned that apparently the reason why Kairi won't wake up is because 1, she is a Princess of Heart and is required to complete the door to the final keyhole. But also that, the moment Kairi disappeared into Sora was the moment that her heart entered inside Sora. So we get the iconic line of,
Open the door, lead me into everlasting darkness.
And we make battle with Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, controlling Riku. That is a long sentence to say, Jesus Christ. But as for this fight, this is also a pretty infamous fight for being way too hard and hard to deal with. And I will admit, it is pretty hard. But I will admit, the first phase is kind of easy when you can just basically read his pattern, super simple. First, he like jumps in the air, and then he makes a strike at us, then we guard. And he'll also ask us to attack him, in which he'll take forever to actually do anything after he starts guarding. But I think enough, as long as you're very reactive, you know, hit him once, then block, then hit him again, block, and just, you can always tell when he's going to actually like attack and stuff. Where it does get hard is the second phase, where he starts using this weird glowy hand of his to start shooting projectiles and stuff. You can think of it as a sort of like boost up of his abilities. Like some people like to compare this to like the Keyblade version of his Arcanum abilities getting stronger and stuff like that, if that makes any sense. But anyways, try to deal with this fight a lot, deal with his dumb, stupid desperation move, and boom, we take care of him for good. But Riku disappears himself. After that, we then realize we need to find a way to seal the keyhole, but to do that, we need to awaken Kairi's heart. But since Kairi's heart is currently inside Sora, there's only one logical answer. Sora must now stab himself in order to release the heart of Kairi, but also release the other Disney princess heart, because apparently that was used to make Riku Ansem's Keyblade, which is pretty sadistic when you think about it. But other than that, Kairi's heart's released, the final keyhole is done, and Sora dies. Since his heart's been released, he's now completely fallen to darkness. So in order to save the world, it looks like Sora had to die for good. Kingdom Hearts! Just kidding, this is Kingdom Hearts, so no one ever actually dies. I'm being serious, no one ever dies. Anyways, Ansem reveals his true form, and holy crap, he's a pretty beefy boy. Sorry, I mean, this man clearly works out. Ansem is ready to release darkness across all the worlds, but Riku manages to hold him back, stopping him for good from accessing Kairi. Well, no! Ansem's ready to release all the darkness into the Keyblade and take over all the worlds, but Riku stops him, giving Donald, Goofy, and Kairi a chance to escape. But then we get to play as a little bug Heartless, running all the way back down to the first floor where we fought Riku. Donald, Goofy, and Kairi notice us. Kairi thinks that this might actually be Sora, doesn't make sense how, and then a bunch of other Heartless show up. They all try tackling us down, and then Sora turns back into himself. Now, there's an obvious answer for how the hell this happened, and I'm gonna theorize this shit because I honestly don't know how this even happened. Now, as for how he turned back, there's a lot of speculations, but I'm going to throw my hat in the table as well. My guess is because Sora turned into a Heartless recently, like let's say 10 minutes ago, he still had the chance to turn back. I know it's really dumb, but think about it. And because the wiki says that Kairi's pure heart of light was able to turn Sora back, I'm going to assume it's a similar situation. Now bear with me here. You know how Minnie freaking Mouse from Kingdom Hearts 2 has this ability to like basically do this kind of light thing. Well, I know it's not a good excuse, but I like to say something like that similar happened to Kairi when she got close to Sora and tried to protect her with her pure light. At least that's my working theory for it, at least. But I think that's the best we can get into it. As for the whole nobody stuff, look, we're not going to get into that, like I said, Kingdom Hearts 2 and stuff. And I'm sure there's a good excuse as to why Sora was not at Twilight Town. At least that's what I like to think. We then head back to Traverse Town for the third time, learn about everything that's happened, and the situation is simple. All the Heartless in every single world have gotten much stronger, and the only way to stop this now for good is to seal the keyhole back at Hollow Bastion. But Hollow Bastion is swarming with Heartless inside gummy ships, so there's no way we're going to be able to get in there if we go through the front. So, we talk to Sid, he tells us the details, and the only way to get through is to get behind Hollow Bastion. So he tells us about a gummy ship part that we can use to get behind Hollow Bastion. So yeah, we head to the river area where Sid told us to go to get the gummy ship part. We get it and have a little heart-to-heart with Kairi, learning about how Sora and Kairi will always be together and stuff like that. Kairi doesn't want Sora going on his own, but Sora has to, and then she gives Sora a good luck charm to make sure that she brings back. To make sure Sora brings back. Sorry, I can't speak today. It's too hot. But it's also where we get Oathkeeper, a Keyblade that basically represents Sora and Kairi's connection and bond. Alright, now let's re-tackle Hollow Bastion. Once we arrive, we see Beast is nearby the entrance, and he's ready to help us out and getting back in through Hollow Bastion to seal the keyhole. Running back into Hollow Bastion and going to the library, we talk to Belle, as she tells us all the details. Apparently, all the Disney princesses are trying to hold back the darkness as best as they can, and they're waiting for Sora to come back and seal it up for good. Alongside that, we also get a Divine Rose Keyblade, which is apparently much better than Riku's Keyblade, so sorry Riku, your Keyblade's still cool though. After going through more Heartless that are basically just retreads from different Disney worlds, just much more stronger, we finally make it to the main room and go inside the heart-shaped hole. In there, we find the Behemoth, a giant Heartless monster. And I will admit, like, this guy is like used like 3 or 4 times in like different endgame related things, so yeah. And I'll admit his boss fight's really easy. All you gotta do is just make sure you avoid like his feet and then just get up on his back, which is really easy thanks to the shared abilities you have, and then you just hit his horn multiple times and then he'll fall at one point. So yeah, that's it's not a bad Heartless, but it's very endgamey kind of Heartless. After all that, we then finally seal the keyhole and then we're done. And that's the end of Kingdom Hearts. But wait! No, it's not over! After sealing the keyhole, we then get to talk to Leon and the Traverse Town gang. They made it to Hollow Bastion, and we learned that they once lived here before, but they also mentioned that once everything goes back to normal, apparently there are a bunch of walls that used to exist alongside the worlds, and they kept all the worlds separate, and that's how no one was able to find out about how there are other worlds in Kingdom Hearts, or in the Kingdom Hearts world. And that's mostly because of the Heartless, since they went around and destroyed all the border walls that kept every world separate. Once the Heartless are all gone, and Ansem's defeated, the walls will go straight back up, and they'll never be able to see each other again. So they share one last reminisce point, saying that how they'll never forget each other, but they'll always be in each other's hearts. And then we finally set off for the end of the world, since the princesses are telling us that Ansem is somewhere else, trying to gather up more darkness once again, alongside, probably has Riku captive, I guess. Speaking of Riku, we also get a cutscene where we see Riku conversing with a mysterious voice, telling him how he needs their help with this. This mysterious voice starts telling Riku that he needs his help to close the door. What kind of door? We're about to find out soon. After getting the last upgrade heal from Aerith, another Final Fantasy character, we set off for the end of the world. First things first, we arrive and see a bunch of tiny looking islands. Goofy, the smartest person in the Kingdom Hearts world, says the Heartless have probably taken over all these previous worlds, and that's what's left from all the previous worlds that have been taken from darkness. And that by defeating Ansem, every other world should go back to the way it was. So we make haste. And after going through a invisible maze, which is really annoying, and seeing some PC rendering issues, and getting attacked by these giant dark balls that are inside chests as well for some reason, that throw us into these arenas full of Heartless, we make our way deeper inside the end of the world. We then have to go through these trial things where we have to go inside these purple flames and go back to the previous worlds and take care of any business inside them. They're mainly just, final enemy shit. They're mainly just final enemies, and that's kind of it. After all that, we also use Pooh's World as a save point for some reason, so yeah, Pooh's World I guess served some kind of significance. After that, we get thrown into a mysterious room, somewhere in Hollow Bastion most likely, serving, as you could say, a sort of memory zone for Ansem. And here we can get a little bit into the hindsight of everything. This device right here that we're seeing is apparently called the Arc. And apparently back in the day, it was used by Keyblade wielders during the mobile game of Kingdom Hearts timeline to transport themselves to the distant future. But Ansem was using it to transport Kairi to see if she can find any other Keyblade wielders that are compatible, aka Sora. That's how Kairi was able to end up at Destiny Islands in the first place, since she apparently arrived during a meteor shower. But yeah, that's all we're going to touch upon for now. Maybe we'll touch upon it further on if I'm not feeling all sweaty from this recording and when we get into the other games. Anyways, after going through all that and escaping the red fire flame that we were in, it then turns into a hole. We go down it and proceed to see Chunarbog from Fantasia. And this fight's basically just the Ursula fight all over again, except this time he throws out flames. But yeah, same thing with the Ursula fight. Make sure to just know when to get out, don't get too greedy with the hits, and you should be fine. After that, we then go deeper, and also we learn the share ability Super Glide. We go deeper into this weird cave, and I will admit, I do like the presentation here, as it feels like we're entering like a sort of fleshy, distorted stuff. It just feels really unnerving to look at. Like, I'm pretty sure the other Kingdom Hearts games don't even pull this kind of stuff anymore. After getting into the green tiled room, we then realize that we have to take care of last few waves of Heartless. So after fighting a bunch of Heartless, the Heartless-shaped emblem disappears, leaving us the entrance into the final area where we can take on Ansem. Gotta say, it's been a journey going through the entirety of the game. We met some Disney worlds, we got to a bunch of shenanigans. Yeah, it's pretty fun going through the entirety of Kingdom Hearts, or at least the first one. But, you know, we're around the end, so let's wrap this up. Now, before we tackle the final boss and stuff, let's actually tackle the other stuff about Kingdom Hearts, mainly its gameplay and other endgame stuff that you can do once you reach this point. As for the gameplay, playing as Sora is honestly not bad from the start. You're given the basic 3-time swing, and at the end of it all, you get a finisher as well. It's pretty simple and basic, and sure, there's not much to work with, but it works for a starting character, and the abilities you unlock along the way honestly make the character more fun to play, like any progression system would. And I do think that the final mix did add new abilities that would help the game make a lot more fun, like Santenzuken, or the sliding dash. And I do kind of agree, some people do think that Sora is kind of sort of play in the first Kingdom Hearts. And you're most likely right, but there's technically hindsight with that statement. Because since this is the first Kingdom Hearts game, I mean, obviously there are going to be some stuff where we should have put Sora where we thought he should have been, if that makes sense. And even stuff like the interaction button being the triangle instead of just it being a part of the command menu were obviously great additions to have in the final mix version. But overall, Sora is great to play, and is even good at taking out groups of enemies and stuff like that. But I do think Sora does feel slow when he's doing things like flying or in the fish sections of Atlantica. And I do think they make him feel a lot more slower and restrictive. Which makes sense that they got rid of crap like that in Kingdom Hearts 2. Now, as for Donald and Goofy as our party members, for the whole journey, I mean, in the beginning, they don't do much aside from extra shields and have good attacks, but around the endgame, they actually get pretty good, especially with the abilities they can learn. Like Goofy, for example, who learns moves like Evolution and MP Gift, which can give you abilities that can replenish your stat bar. So I think they're great additions to have in the party. And it's cool that you can actually command them to either follow you or attack an enemy and focus on one. So overall, they're great party members to have in any Kingdom Hearts game. Alright, now I think we can cover the synthesis guide. Now, it should be mentioned that this is made by Squaresoft, the guys who are known for making RPGs. So something like this is not really surprising coming from them. Now, I can look past the fact that you need to craft every item in each page of the synthesis shop in order to fully complete the shop. And I can even look past the fact that there are some items that have to be crafted first that are like on page 1, for example, Mithril. In order to craft items that are that higher up in the pages like Dark Matter, you require Mithril in order to create it. I can look past the fact that in this game you have to reload the same area over and over to get the specific Heartless you want to get special items. And it's even great that we have an ability like Encounter Plus given to us by the Moogles in order to not have to go back to the ship in order to reload the enemy spawning. And as much as I hate it, I can even look past the fact that there are specific Heartless you have to take down that are so BS to deal with. And that's just it, they're just really BS to deal with. But where I draw the line are mainly just the chances it takes in order to actually get the items. These kind of special enemies are Heartless that you kind of need to keep beating up until you get the right items in order to complete the synthesis shop, or even get a chance at getting the final weapons like the ultimate Keyblade and Goofy and Donald's final sword and shield and staff. I will admit, they make the game very grindy around the end. Now, in order to get a chance of getting all these items, I want to go through each of the enemies that you have to kill in order to get the items, special items, in order to craft some of the special weapons and stuff like that. And I want to go in order for each of them. So let's go in order and let me explain to you the chances of getting each one. So first, you have Pink Argus, a giant pink mushroom with a green cape, different from the ones like the white mushrooms, the ones that have a red head and are small. In order to get a chance of getting the Serenity Stone that it contains, you need to hit the Heartless 40 times to get a whopping 10% chance. But if you want to increase your odds, you better hit him 70 times. And if you do that, you get a 20% chance. I was only able to get the 50 hits because for some reason the strategy that you're supposed to do with the move Ragnarok doesn't work for me for some reason. Apparently you have to like step back a bit, but it negates time because you have to apply the stop spell as well. So unless you're out of sync with the whole stopping spell and Ragnarok, it can honestly be hard to actually get a full 100% chance of getting the Serenity Stone. Moving on, then you have Sniper Wild, who can turn the entire game into a damn stealth game, as you have to kill the Heartless before it even spots you. And if you take down 6 of them, you get a 35% chance of getting the Power Stone. And your chances increase each time you go up by 6 of how many you defeated. And honestly, that's fine. That doesn't really mess me up. What I find really tough is that this is a stealth operation, so if you get caught and don't take care of the Sniper Wild that spotted you, it will then alert everyone of your presence, to which now you're just playing a bullet hell game where you have to basically get out of there, and trust me, you cannot survive in there. I mean, sure, you can like delay your inevitable for a while, but you're not going to be able to survive. Plus, even if you take down the Sniper Wilds that are now alerted to your presence, it won't count towards giving you the Power Stone. And that's one of my issues with it. And even then, even if you, like, let's say, defeat a certain amount of Sniper Wilds and have a few Power Stones, if you get hit, you have to start that whole thing all over again, including you don't get to keep the Power Stones, which that's what I find really hellish to deal with, because you have to take care of getting out of the sniper file. Oh my god. Sniper Fire! Next up is a special Heartless called the Pot Scorpion, who holds the Metro Stone. He acts sort of like a mini-boss, I will be honest with you. It's not really that challenging, like it can be done in under 20 minutes to take care of him, but the hard part comes in the form of the chances you have. So, there are at least like 12 pots in the room that he spawns in. Now, in order to get a chance of getting the Metro Stone or increasing your chances, because the base chances right now are 20% once you defeat him. So you think after breaking all the pots that don't have him in there, because you have to break all the pots, and the higher you break all the pots, the more your chance increases, but you think once you can break all the pots instead of getting the one that has him in it, that it would count towards a 100% chance. Nope! You only get a 35% chance of getting the Mithril Stone after defeating him. 35! And that's where my issue comes with this fight. I know you can make the argument, oh, it's just equip Lucky Strike for most of your characters and you'll have a better chance of getting that Mithril Stone. But that still doesn't hide the fact that you have to do a bunch of RNG stuff to make sure you have to pick the right empty vases before you fight him. And if you pick the wrong one, then boom, your chances are basically ruined. I would have honestly preferred a much tougher version of Pot Scorpion instead of this RNG pick a right vase crap. And to make this mini boss have a 100% guarantee of giving you the vase. But that's that Heartless done. Let's move on to the next one. The next Heartless is the Grand Ghost. Now this one I don't have issues with. The only way to defeat him and have a chance of getting the Frost Stone is to beat him with items instead of attacking him. So it's like one of those, okay, you gotta do one thing instead of the other, instead of the basic stuff. Now, there is a way to get a 100% chance of getting the Frost Stone. You basically have to give him a Mega Elixir, and he will instantly kill him and give you a chance of getting a Frost Stone. Or 2 Frost Stones if you're lucky enough. Thankfully, I had a bunch of Mega Elixirs that I got from doing a bunch of grinding from other enemies. But I do think the main issue here, again, comes down to the percent chances. Now, I'm going to skip Mega Elixir because that has a 100% guarantee of giving you the Frost Stone, but for the other items, if you give him a Mega Potion, that's a 5% chance. If you give him a Mega Ether, that's a 10% chance. And if you give him an Elixir, 35% chance. Hell, if you give him the chance of getting the second Frost Stone from him from the Mega Elixir goes down from 35 to 20. Like, what? But yeah, if you have a bunch of Mega Elixirs, you'll be fine, but if you don't have any, then you're just gonna have to luck out and just keep trying until you actually get it. Black Ballot, I mean, Black Ballot is just spot the difference, pretty much. Spot which one's the real Heartless. If you hit him 4 times, then that's a 100% guarantee. Just don't mess up, and you should be fine. Stealth Soldier, he's just a normal soldier, but he's invisible, so the only way to spot him out is to use Stop Magic on him, and he'll reveal himself. His chance of dropping Energy Stones is 35%, but it can be increased with Lucky Strikes. It is annoying still that it's 35% chance, but to be fair, he does respawn really consistently, and plus he's really easy to take down. Next is Chimera, who spawns at Boogie's Manor. Well, after it's been ruined. He has a 35% chance of dropping the Blazing Stone, but you can increase your chances with more. But you can increase your chances by deflecting his head attacks. If you deflect his head attacks at least 6 times, you get a 20% chance. If you do it 9 times, you have a 100% guarantee and a 40% chance of getting a second one. So yeah, not bad odds. I didn't even know you can deflect his head now after reading the wiki. Jet Balloon is another Grand Fish Heartless that spawns in Neverland. He only sticks around for the amount of time you have in your money. So depending on how much money you have is how long he's going to stay around for. It mainly goes by the hundreds. But he does try to run away from you while the countdown goes down. So basically just spam a bunch of Stop Magic to get him to stop, and make sure you pick up the item before it drops into the ocean, because if it does, you won't be able to pick it up again. The White Mushrooms. Now these little enemies are basically replicate different types of scenarios, which you have to apply that with the right type of magic. So if they're feeling sweaty, use Ice Magic. If they're feeling if they're feeling chilly, then use Fire Magic. And the same goes for other stuff. If they have lightning, if they're floating, use Gravity Magic. If they're spinning, use Arrow Magic. If they're frozen in time, use Stop Magic. And if they have light over their heads, use Thunder Magic. I don't know how that one makes sense. But yeah, they drop the Mystery Goo, which is another item required, and they only drop it in a 10 or 20% chance. They also drop Elemental Arts, which if you manage to match all 3 elements at the same time, pretty much. If you get all the Elemental Arts for all of your magic skills, then you do get a chance of getting the Dream Shield. And if you get all the magic upgrades as well, you can also get the Staff, the Dream Staff, which can be given to Donald and Goofy. These are just the staffs that were used in the tutorial of the game. So yeah, cool way to come back around to the beginning of parts of the game. Next up is Black Fungus. Similar to White Mushrooms, except they spew out poison. Basically for these guys, it's a whopping 100% chance upon defeat, but they also drop the Mystery Mold, which is a damn 10% chance of getting, and this is another item required for the Ultima weapon and stuff like that. But the only way to get it is you have to send it flying. Well, you have to finish it with either a combo finisher with the critical, or you have to send it flying, or some kind of crap like that. At least so that's what it says on khguides.com, which I pulled the source for most of this stuff. So yeah, shout out to those guys. Last of the Heartless are the rare truffles. These guys are different, which means you have to keep them in the air for a long while, which I found a good strategy for this. Just go to Halloween Town, go to where the gate is for Boogie's Manor, stay under there, and make sure that the truffles will be down there, by the way. Apply Arrow Magic and then get one of them into a corner, and then you should be able to just have them bounce off your head the whole time. You don't have to do anything, just make sure you reapply the arrow spell and you should be good. And last of the special Heartless is the Neo Shadows. As I mentioned before, they spawn at the end of the world in the green floor room, and I will admit they're easy to take down once you know how to handle them and stuff. Like sure, they'll all attack at you at once, but hey, with enough coordination and making sure you attack at the right time, you'll be able to take them down, especially with that last desperation move where one of them will just turn into a bunch of Heartless again. But either way, yeah. For some reason in KH3 they also are like less hard to take down, but that's a whole other thing. And that's every Heartless needed to get the special items. Overall, the main issue comes around mainly with the chances of it to get them all. Like sure, I guess you can equip Lucky Strikes for most of your abilities to give you a better chance of getting it, but it's still grinding at the end of the day, and I think it's still annoying, which people don't really like. That's why some people don't personally like grinding for the Ultima weapon in KH1, as they feel that it's way too much work to try and get, and you'll just be spent all day trying to get the right Heartless and shit. But look, if you really want to do it, and you want to get like all the final stuff and 100% the game, then go ahead, so you know you're going to be grinding a lot if you don't have hindsight of you having to get all these items before then, which is mostly all new players of Kingdom Hearts, pretty much. Anyways, I can't say whether or not item synthesis has gotten better in Kingdom Hearts 2, as I haven't touched that game in a while, but who knows, maybe we'll find out when I eventually tackle that game. Aside from that, we can finally tackle all the endgame content that this game has to offer. So first up, we have all the super bosses. First up, we have Kurtz Zista. a snake heartless that spawned out of the keyhole after Sora sealed it away. This guy spawns in the middle of the desert and you just have to fight him. So he'll have like 2 phases where 1, he'll lock away all your magic and stuff, and 2, he'll have a bubble shield where you have to attack him with magic. Those 2 phases are kind of actually mostly easy, so long as you make sure to dodge his spinny blade thing in his sealed up magic phase. Where I think the boss gets really hard is the desperation move he pulls off, where he starts spinning in the air and starts diving towards you and stuff like that. As long as you're able to like actually dodge at the right time, and heck, if you need to, you can always equip Tinkerbell before your magic gets sealed away. You'll have a not so hard time, but at least more of a better chance of surviving against Zeke Curtis's attacks. Overall, pretty good super boss. Our next super boss is another Heartless that appeared out of the keyhole, at least that's what I think. His name is Phantom, and I will admit he looks a lot much better in the final mix version. Anyways, he spawns outside of Big Ben, and this time the only way to hurt him is to attack him with the right color-coded magic. So, you know, his core will either show red for fire, blue for ice, and yellow for lightning. Hit him with the right times, and if it shows white, just whack him with the Keyblade. But not only that, he's also in control of the clock, as he will set a death counter on some of your teammates. And you have to make sure to stop that death counter from going to 0 is to use stop magic on the clock itself. So make sure to keep using stop magic on the clock itself once the clock accelerates, and just keep up the damage on Phantom, and you should be able to take care of him super easy. Also make sure to stack up on Aether just in case. Now as for our next boss... Inside the Platinum match, as I said before, Final Fantasy VII Sephiroth. Donning his one-wing angel and his long-ass sword, he's actually pretty tough. Like I said before, I do think the original PS2 version was more tougher because it doesn't contain the final mix abilities. But either way, I think it's still tough at the end of the day. You have to make sure you don't get slashed by his giant sword, make sure you don't get caught in his giant geysers that pop out of the ground and cover a lot of aerial space around him. You then have to watch out for his desperation move where he'll literally just charge you, spin with his spinning blade all around and stuff like that. He also shoots out energy balls. He can also take away all your MP and health at once so that you can be easily one-shottable. This can be fixed if you do have elixirs and stuff. And he even has another desperation phase where basically he summons damn meteors to come out of the sky and spin around while he charges up a spirit bomb. So overall, he's a pretty tough fight. Like seriously, like your best chance of doing it if you're at level 100 pretty much, which is how it was for me when I did it. But overall, I love this super boss. Heck, if you beat him and then you leave the Coliseum, you even get a cool cutscene between him and Cloud, where they just fight off for like the 30 millionth time. As for the last super boss now, this one is more so relevant to teasing what's going to come next in the next game. Kingdom Hearts has had this traction of doing this all the time, so yeah. For this boss, a weird portal has spawned back in where we defeated Maleficent. And going there and talking to the princesses, they say that they've never felt this presence before, and that it feels different. Walking through it...
Who are you?
I am Sam?
What's that supposed to mean?
And so he wants to test our strength, and we fight. His fight overall is honestly pretty tough, including him doing the most unique thing that any boss has done, which is messing with the command menu. There's another boss I know that. I know Ansem does that, but hear me out. In this one, you have to make sure you hit the release button, but in order to get release, you have to time it. For me, all I do is just literally just pause frame by frame in order to get the right time to time time hitting the freedom command, so you know, it's pretty simple. But as for who this man is after we defeat him, he then tells us that we will meet him again real soon, as he shoots. Yeah. As for Hindsight, this is basically Xemnas, the final boss of Kingdom Hearts 2. Spoiler, by the way. Lore-wise as to why he's here, it's mainly just to figure out who the heck Roxas is. Somebody is. Okay? I know that people don't understand what I'm talking about, but trust me, we will talk about this in Kingdom Hearts 2 when that review comes out. But other than that, that's why he's here. He's here to basically just test us and to see what our nobodies like compared to us. And he does say we'll see him again real soon, as he knows that this will not be the last time that he and Sora will meet. But yeah, that's all the super bosses in Kingdom Hearts. I will admit, all of them are great and are great at testing us for different types of things, like Kurosika is testing us for a situation where we have to fight without our magic. The Phantom Guy teaching us how to fight by solely relying on magic. I think they're great ways of testing us how to test our skills, seeing if we truly mastered the combat of Kingdom Hearts. So yeah, I pretty much enjoyed all these super bosses. Alright, now let's finally tackle the end of the world. Or Ansem himself, I guess. After opening the door and being told that this is the last time we'll be able to save and stuff, we finally go through.
Is this my island?
After going through the door, we finally see that we're on Destiny Island, although something doesn't feel right. After looking around, we see stuff starting to disappear, and then we head to the secret place, and then we hear Ansem's voice once again, talking about how this world's been connected. After that, the entire world looks more like a hellish landscape, not gonna lie. And then we go face to face with Ansem, who is in Riku's body. He then dissipates and then turns back into Ansem, and then goes on about how
Darkness. All worlds begin in darkness, and all so end. The heart is no different. Darkness sprouts within it. It grows, consumes it. Such is its nature. In the end, every heart returns to the darkness whence it came. You see, darkness is the heart's true essence.
That's not true!
Look, I'm gonna be real with you, this man really likes talking about darkness so much. So much that he treats it like a sort of essence kind of liquidy kind of thing. Anyways, not important. The first fight with Ansem begins as Sora, Donald, and Goofy tackle him on. His first fight is not that bad. As for his attacks, he shoots out projectiles, attacks us with his weird Heartless Guardian. Sometimes he'll even use it as a guard. But, I mean, we can easily get behind him and just attack him from there. But he also has a move where basically he'll start building up something kind of in him, and then he'll release his Heartless to attack us, and basically go inside our body. He can go inside either Donald, Goofy, or Sora, and if he's connected with Sora, he'll accidentally freeze you up and leave you open for Ansem to basically hit you with a bunch of lasers. So yeah, after that first phase, Ansem then blows up the island, or I guess cracks it open, and then we go deep inside it. And then we fight Darkseid again, for some reason. Apparently, there was going to be another fight with Riku again, but I guess that was cut out. And we defeat Darkseid, and I will admit, it's a cool way of showing how far we've come since we first fought Darkseid, so I don't mind it. After all that, we then come face to face with Ansem for a one-on-one fight. This time he has got new moves to show. This time, he has a little charging move, which you can easily take care of by blocking. He then also has a desperation move, which he'll send his Heartless into the ground to attack us from below, similar to how the Neo Shadows attack us, and keep it charging up against us until he does the final Darkness Within. That's what his move is called. After taking care of that fight, we then dissipate, and now we're in the middle of the void, and then Ansem's like,
Kingdom Hearts!
He then proclaims that darkness conquers all worlds, and that everywhere you go is nothing but darkness. Well, I'd hate to disagree. And then he's...
Darkness conquers all worlds!
Jeez, that! Anyway, Stalin and Gooby get swallowed up by Ansem, and we fall to darkness. And that was Kingdom Hearts. Okay, this joke's getting old. Alright, so Riku tells us to get up and fight. Because we're better than that, apparently. We fly up and start taking down the giant boat. First off, we take down Ansem himself, who's connected to the giant boat. He's all shirtless and shit, and he's somehow bigger than us. But let's get one thing clear. This man does not skip the gym. After we get swallowed up into the void after taking him down, we then fight little Shadow Heartless. We then take out this weird ball core and then get out. We then are forced to take down a bunch of weird tentacle things that are shooting out projectiles, which I'm just gonna be frank, these just look like weird ass penises. We take down the weird ass penises and then we go inside the void again to save Goofy from a bunch of dark ball Heartless. After doing that, we then take down Ansem's boat part. I don't know, again, I don't know why this man has an infatuation with tentacles and shit, I don't know why. We take it down, make sure after it's done exploding and stuff like that, and then we go inside its mouth. Then we save Donald from a bunch of no-named Heartless, invisible Heartless, whatever you want to call them. I forgot their name. After taking them down, we then escape the giant boat mouth, and the boat mouth penis blows up, apparently. Again, I don't even know what's going on at this point. And now I have to take care of this weird-ass core in the middle. After taking that part down, we then take down Ansem for one final showdown. And all three party members gather together to take him down. And his attacks aren't different aside from summoning some giant-ass ball that sucks us all in, but, you know, we can easily survive that. And after all of that, Ansem is finally defeated. And that's the end of Kingdom Hearts 1. After all that, Ansem puts his clothes back on because probably he realizes taking his shirt off in front of a child is bad, and then asks Kingdom Hearts to give him pure darkness. But he says it in like a very PG kind of way.
Kingdom Hearts, fill me with the power of darkness. Supreme darkness.
But after all that, Sora then says that Kingdom Hearts is light, and boom, there's the light.
Light. But why?
And that's the end of Ansem, Seeker of Darkness.
I smell you, Ansem.
I said that's the end of Ansem, Seeker of Darkness. God damn it. Sequels. But anyways, we go to Kingdom Hearts and try our best to close the door, because Heartless are inside it for some reason, even though it's apparently full of light. After trying to close it once, we fail, but then Riku shows up from the other side telling us that we have to do our best to close it. We try again, and we fail again. But then...
Your Majesty! Now, Sora, let's close this door for good!
Miska Muska, and he donned his own Keyblade. Alright, what the fuck? Alright. He then goes on to tell us that there's light everywhere no matter what. Yeah, we know, we get it. And so we finally close the door for good. I don't know what stopped us before, but I guess we finally close it. After that, we stick our Keyblades in the air. By the way, Riku's behind the door. Like, he's not coming out with us for some reason. He just tells us to take care of Kairi, and that's it. Anyways, we shoot our key beams into the sky, and we finally close Kingdom Hearts, and that is it. We then get a actually pretty somber flashback of, you know, of Sora remembering Riku from their childhood stuff, being sad, which makes sense. He did just lose his best friend. We then look back and we see Kairi in the distance as they are getting ready for the worlds to return. Sora then goes to Kairi and basically look, I know it's not implied, but it's basically implying that he's planning to not go back to Destiny Islands and is getting ready to go and look for Riku and King Mickey. Sora then tells Kairi that no matter what, they're always together and that he'll come back for her. Kairi says she knows that. And then they split off. And you know what that means, right, guys? Take it away, Peter Griffin!
When you walk
away, you don't hear me say, please, oh baby, don't go. Simple and clean is the way that you're making me feel tonight. It's hard to let it go. You're giving me too many things lately. You're all I need. smiled at me and said, "Don't get me wrong, I love you, but does that mean I have to meet your father? I don't think life is quite that simple. When you walk away, you don't hear me say, please, oh baby, don't go. Simple and clean is the way that you're making me feel tonight. It's hard to let it go."
Instead of worrying about them, you should be asking about her.
The daily things like this and that and what's what to keep us all busy, confusing me. That's when you came to me and said, "Wish I could prove I love you, but does that mean I have to walk on water? When we are older, you'll understand it's enough when I say no. And maybe some things are that simple." And later on, regardless of warnings,
The heart may be weak, and sometimes it may even give in. But I've learned that deep down there's a light that never goes out.
Darkness conquers all worlds!
Kingdom Hearts is light.
But why?
Now, Sora, let's close this door for good.
Take care of her.
Nothing's like before.
And that was Kingdom Hearts 1, depending if this YouTube video didn't get struck down because of the AI song. Anyways, overall my thoughts of the game are, I mean, it's still a fun game to come back to and stuff, but I will admit, in hindsight, looking back at this game and comparing it to the other future entries in the series, I will admit it is the weakest and kind of the hardest pill to swallow of the series. And this is the first one, but it makes sense that it is the first and like the hardest pill to swallow. This is the first game, and Square Enix did try a million different ways to appeal to like the audience of the game, but it doesn't hide the fact that even when they came back to fix it with the final mix stuff, which I do think that they did improve some stuff for it, the game still kind of feels a little slow and chunky when you get back into it. And I can understand why newcomers of the series kind of drop off when they play the first one. I mean, heck, when I first started Kingdom Hearts, I just gave up immediately after, like, I believe the Clayton fight. And it kind of turned me off for a while, until I decided to come back to it years later and actually finish it. So I can understand where people are coming from. And by the way, the original, I originally played the original version, that's why I quit, because cutscenes weren't skippable. But overall, while I do think that this game made a great, built the entire road foundation for what would be the rest of the Kingdom Hearts series with all these other fucking games, I will admit it is tough to come back to and enjoy. But if you do enjoy it, that is completely fine, obviously. Like, an opinion is just an opinion at the end of the day. And as for this, I will admit, I still like it because of nostalgia and for it being the first of the series. But I will admit, it does have its flaws, mainly in citizen stuff. But overall, yeah, that was me covering entirely of Kingdom Hearts 1. So I hope those 60 hours I have in that game was worth making this entire video for. Do I plan on keep covering the other games? I don't fucking know. I mean, maybe the video does well. But anyways. Oh, who the hell are you? Okay, how come you're only speaking in subtitles? Well, where are you coming away? Oh! The fuck just happened? What the hell was that? Oh, you're still here. What did you just do? The fuck? The hell are these? Cards?